Hello and welcome to Bounding into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding into Comics. Today I got a story about Marvel boss Kevin Feige addressing the race and gender swapping in the upcoming Eternals movie. Before we get to the story, I'd like to ask if you could please hit that subscribe button if you have not already. And if you are already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed. And then hopefully after this video, if I've earned your like, that you would please give us a like and then share this video with your friends and family. So let's get to the story. Like I said, this is about Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige recently addressing why the upcoming Eternals movie decided to race and gender swap most of the characters from their origins in the comics. If you aren't caught up on what's going on with the Eternals movie, a majority of the Eternals characters have been race and gender swapped. The only characters that look similar to their comic book iterations are Icarus, Athena, and Phastos. They changed Makari to a black female deaf character. Kingo now appears Indian instead of appearing to be Japanese. Ajak is Hispanic, Lebanese, and female. Gilgamesh is now Asian, and Sprite is now female and a young girl. Feige addressed these changes in an interview with Variety, where he spoke about the upcoming film following the movie's director, Chloe Zhao, winning Best Director and Best Picture for Nomadland, a film practically no one watched, given it has a global box office take of a measly $6.8 million. But apparently it was good enough for Best Picture. Anyways, Feige answered this question from Variety's Kate Arthur. She asked him, Eternals expands the MCU in terms of representation with its large international cast, its first LGBTQ superhero. I know some of those things are baked into the Eternals, but how many of those expansive ideas came from Chloe? Feige answered, well, the notion of switching up the genders, sexualities, and ethnicities of the characters from the comics was baked in initially. That was part of what Nate Moore was really advocating for in moving Eternals to the top of the list for us to start working on. Moore is a producer for Marvel. Feige continued, what exactly the makeup was between when Nate put together his internal discussion document, which is how we always start on all of our projects, and what she came in and did, I don't recall exactly. He then began discussing the casting, where he claims that Cersei is the lead of the film, not Icarus, who is predominantly the main protagonist when it comes to Eternals stories in the comics. Feige said, when it came to casting, that also did affect it. There were some characters that we changed from male to female. There were some characters that we knew how we were altering them from the books, but then also it came down to casting. So for Cersei, for instance, and if there was a lead in this ensemble, it is Cersei, it is Gemma Chan. We looked at and read all sorts of women for that part and ended up really believing that Gemma was best for it. And thankfully, she's proven that to be the case in the final movie. So, of course, Chloe was a big part of that decision, and of every casting decision, some of it was done beforehand, and that continued once she was on board as director. So that's what Kevin Feige had to say. And if it wasn't clear that this film might be the wokest of all Marvel films so far, Feige pretty much confirmed it right there. He made it very clear they set out to race and gender swap the majority of the cast before they had even begun searching for a director. Not only that, but it shows where Marvel Studios and Feige's priorities are. He clearly states the reason for the film being moved to the top of their list of films to make is purely because they could swap the characters' races, genders, and sexualities. When you are making movies simply to swap races, genders, and sexualities, you are not doing it right. And more times than not, you sacrifice an actual story because you're so blinded by identity politics. As you're so focused on the identity politics, you forget everything else because all you care about is identity politics. And when all you're caring about is identity politics, you really can't tell a coherent, well-rounded story. It just doesn't work. The two are incompatible. I've never actually seen that happen. So to me, this is just another sign of the Marvel Cinematic Universe heading down the wrong trajectory. A trajectory that looks very similar to what Disney did to Lucasfilm and Star Wars, and we all know how that ends up. It ends up as a corpse that is now being beat constantly by Lucasfilm. Those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you think. What do you make of Feige's comments? Leave a comment below. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.